Hi everyone, in today's endgame video I'm going to go over triangulation, which is one of the most important endgame principles, and especially in endgames where one side has more than one pawns and in endgames where both sides have multiple pawns. This is going to be one technique that's going to help you win a lot of games. If you don't know it, it can be really hard to come up with it over the board, and sometimes won games are going to be drawn and drawn games are going to be lost. So I hope that I'm going to be able to explain what triangulation is and how you can use it during a real game. So firstly, triangulation is moving your king in a triangle shape across three squares to be able to achieve the same position but with your opponent to move. So in this case, the white king is on d5, the black king is on c8, white is to play, and that's why it's hard to win. If it's black to play from the same position, it's going to be much easier to win this position with white pieces. So what you want to achieve is to have your king on d5, have the black king on c8, but with black to move. Why does black have to move? Because in this position, if you try to win by brute force with opposition, let's say you play king d6, the black king can play king d8. Let's say you play king d5, the black king plays king c8. King c5, king c7, king d5, king c8. Once you try to enter, he's going to meet you with opposition. The second thing you could try, if you don't play king d6, you can try and play the move king c5 and try to enter the position this way. If you play king c5, the black king is going to play king c7 and you're going to have to move away. And once again, you have the same position. If you try to enter the game, you won't be able to. That is why you have to use triangulation. And this is one of the best examples to explain triangulation because it wins so easily that the black king basically has no chance. Okay. So we are going to be making a triangle with our king to be able to reroute our king back to d5 and to have it be black's move. So we are going to use king c4 as our first part of the triangle, king c4, king d4 as our second part of the triangle, and coming back to d5 as the third part. So let's start our maneuvering. We know it's our move. We want to have the same position with black to move. So we play king c4. Now if the black king makes a mistake and plays king c7, let's say he makes a mistake, king c7, then we are going to play king c5 and we have the position that we want. The black king is going to have to move away. We are going to be able to enter the position and we are going to be able to win the game. So the black king cannot play king c7. He needs to play resilient chess and try to stop us from achieving what we want. So the black king plays king d8. Now once again, if we played the move king c5, the black king is going to play king c7 and stop us from doing that. So we continue with our triangle. We play the move king d4. King d4. Now once again, if the black king makes a mistake with king c7, we are going to be playing king c5 and win the game, enter the position. So the black king has to repeat, has to play king c8. And now once we play king to d5, we have the position that we had at the start of the game, but it's now black to move. And why is this important? The difference is that white has room to do triangulation as much as he wants. Even if you make a mistake in your calculation, you can come back to the original position with you to move, and then you can triangulate once again. The difference is that black doesn't have that many squares. Black, as you can see, cannot do triangulation that easily because he only has one square to oppose you, and that's the c7 square. And this is what happens usually when triangulation arises. One side has multiple squares to maneuver to and do triangulation and the other side doesn't. So in this case, since it's now black to move, black is forced to play the move king c7. If he doesn't, you are simply going to enter the position. So let's say he plays the move king d8, tries to be resilient. Now once you play the move king d6, he doesn't have opposition anymore, he has to move. So let's say king c8, you simply play c7, and the black king is going to have to move away. And once he moves to b7, you're going to win the position like this. So after king d5, you can see that we did king c4, king d4, king d5. The black king has to move, has to play king c7. Now you simply play king c5, you achieved what you wanted. The black king has to move away and you enter the position. You can either play king b6 or king d6. Regardless of what you play, the position is just going to be winning. So that was the first example. The second example is a bit more complicated, as we are going to see. So in this position, white is to move, and white cannot win if he doesn't use triangulation. White wants it to be black's move. Why? Let's see what happens if black is to move. If black is to move, his best move is king f6, which is obvious. And as soon as the king moves, white is able to play the move d5. After d5, king e7, which is the best move, d6, and now you have two protected pawns which cannot be taken. Of course, c5 can never be captured. Now you simply march your king around, shun the black king out of the position and win. So let's say king d8, king d4, king c8, king c4, king b7, king b4, king a6, and now if he makes a mistake with a6, you simply push d7. If he doesn't, if he plays the move king c8, which is more resilient, now you enter the position and you win the game. King c7, here king takes, king b7, you can see that the position is winning for white. So if it's this position and black is forced to move either to e7 or to d7 or to f6 or to f7, it doesn't matter, you're going to push through d5 and you're going to be able to win the game. But if it's white to move, it's not that simple. If it's white to move, the position cannot be winning unless white uses triangulation. So let's say you try, well, what exactly can you try if you don't use triangulation? If you push d5 here, of course, black is going to take and the position is going to be a draw. So there is no way for you to make progress. So we are going to be making another triangle. We are going to be making a triangle using f4, e3, and e4. And the black king cannot do anything about that. You have time to defend if the black king comes to d5. So we are going to be using this simple technique to make it be black's move in this position. King f4. Now the only good move black can play is of course king d5. Once you play the move king e3, the black king has to return. If the black king goes to c4, then you are just going to march up the board and win the game. So once the black king returns to e6, you are now going to play king e4. And you can see, I'm sorry, I seem to have lost my internet connection. Let me just do that. So you can see that as soon as you lose, as soon as black loses the opposition in this game, as soon as he allows your king to enter and to have the same position with him to move, he can lose the game. So that's why triangulation, in this case specifically, is probably what happens most often during real games. And I would say that most often weaker players such as myself, yeah, I have the internet back up, weaker players such as myself miss opportunities like this. So now we have the same position that we had at start, but it's now black to move. So what did we do? We simply played king f4, king e3, king e4. We created a triangle with our king, and the black king is now going to lose. So king f4, king enters, king e3, the king has to go back. Once your king gets to e4, as we said, the black king has to play king f6 or something like that now. d5, king back, d6, and the position is winning. The final position I want to look at this is something I've set up myself just to explain how complicated triangulation can be during a real game, and this is what can often happen, and this is what you need to be able to assess as a position in which you can use triangulation. So what's the point here? The position is probably a draw after you win the d6 pawn. You might try some tricks with g3 pawn breaks and then f4, but that's pretty irrelevant here. The first thing you need to make sure you do is you have to stop the black king from entering the d4 square. If the black king enters d4 while your king is on d2, so let's say you make a horrible mistake, king d2, king d4, and now you have to move anywhere, the black king is going to enter the position and win the game. That much is clear. So you cannot allow the black king to enter the position, which means that you cannot allow the black king to play d4 when your king is on d2. So now we are going to use triangulation to do that. The first thing we can notice is that we can use three squares, king d2, king e1, king d1, and it doesn't have to be an exact triangle shape. That's what I want to point out with this example. So you try to lure the black king into d4, king e1. Now, if the black king makes a mistake, plays king d4, then you simply play king d2, and now it's black to move. The black king is going to have to... I'm sorry, I seem to have lost my internet connection again. I'm not sure what's going on, and I'm sorry about this. Let me just restart it once again. Okay. I'm really sorry about this. I seem to be having problems with my internet provider the last few days. Okay, and I think I should be back up. So if you manage to provoke the black king into making a mistake and coming to d4, now you simply play king d2 and the black king has to move. You're going to win the pawn. It's going to be a draw. Perhaps you can win with this pawn break. But if the black king plays better, let's say king e1, and the black king moves away, king c6, this is one thing you can do. Now you can enter the position, and after king d6, you can now take. Another thing, a very tricky thing that black can do after king e1, you try to use triangulation, and the best move for black is the move d2 check. And now this is where triangulation comes in. We have played king d1 to e1, and now if d2 check comes and you take, without finishing your triangulation, then the black king is going to enter the position, you're going to be forced to move, and black is going to win. Which is why after king e1, king d2, you need to finish your triangulation, finish the 3 moves. It doesn't have to be a triangle, you don't have to move exactly like king e1, king d2, king d1, it can be 3 moves. So after d2 check, you simply play king back to d1. After king back to d1, if the black king wants to do something about the position, he's going to have to play king d4. And after king d4, you play king takes d2. Now you have the opposition, and now the black king is forced to move away. So this would be kind of a complicated example of triangulation. So coming back to the original position, we just played king e1, king d1, king d2. This is triangulation. And after king e1, as I said, d2 check is the best move and the trickiest move. A huge mistake would be to take, you would lose the game. Instead of that, king d1, finish your triangle, and after king d4, the third move of the triangle, king takes d2. So the point of triangulation is having the same position that we had before. In this case, the only thing that changed is that the pawn is no longer here. The pawn is no longer in the middle of the board on d3. Instead of that, black dissolved the pawn, but we basically have the same position. And you want to have your opponent have to move. And you can use triangulation in more complicated examples such as this one, and this is what's going to be happening during real games. It's not like during a real game you're going to be able to get positions like this, where it's going to be a textbook setup where you simply use triangulation to win. It's going to be more complicated with more pawns. But I think that I would like you to do is think about ways in which you can trick your opponent into making it his move, and forcing him to have a compulsion to move, and that can win or draw you games. Okay, once again, sorry for my internet interruption. I don't have influence over that. I'm going to have to shout at my internet provider. And let me know what you think about the video. Let me know if you understood triangulation. If something is unclear, I can explain it in the comments or wherever else you can reach me. Thank you very much. Hope you liked the video, and stay tuned for more chess. Bye bye. Thank you.